question we get a lot is, should I put the pricing of my property management services on my property management website? In today's video, we're going to go over an answer to that and talk about whether or not it is a good idea to put that pricing on your website. So stick around and watch today's video. Now, I can definitely see both sides of the argument when deciding whether or not to put pricing on the website. On one hand, for a lot of people, their belief is, if I don't put the pricing on my website, then I'm enticing more people to pick up the phone, call me, and ask about the pricing. And if I can get them on the phone, then I can start that sales process. I can start nurturing them and having a conversation with them and potentially close more leads. However, the other side to it is, if you don't have pricing on your website, then there's a good chance that you're losing a chunk of people simply because your competitors probably do have the pricing on their website. So you want to look at these factors. You want to look at the pros and cons to whether or not you're putting pricing on your website. But in a lot of cases, the best decision is always going to be to put the pricing on your website. Simply because when it comes to any piece of information, whether it's pricing or anything else that you're putting on your website, one of the main things you want to ask yourself is, if I don't have this information, do my competitors? Because if the competitors are offering the information that my website is lacking, well then it's going to push a lot of users over towards their direction. Now, of course, a lot of people will make the argument that, we're offering quality services. So yes, our services are more expensive, but it's because they're getting a better quality of service. And a lot of them are hesitant to put that pricing on their website simply because they think that the user is only going to see that higher price, that they're not going to see this is because you're getting more for your money. So I do understand that argument, but at the same time, the other side to it is, if the user doesn't see pricing, well then the automatic assumption might be the services are going to be too expensive. It's like when you go to a fancy restaurant and you don't see the pricing on the menu items. Automatically, a lot of our brains are going to go to, I can't afford that bottle of wine, or I can't afford that lobster meal. And for all we know, for the user, your services, even if they're slightly more expensive than the competition, still may be within their price range. But if they're not seeing that price, well, then they're going to make that assumption that, okay, these services may be too expensive. Yes, you may get some people who pick up the phone and call you and ask about the pricing. But again, there's going to be a big chunk of people who just move on and go to the competition's website. Now, the other thing you want to think about is, when you're having a conversation with the potential lead, are you going to want to have a conversation that is simply just somebody picking up the phone and asking about the price? Or do you want to have a conversation with somebody who is actually more towards the decision-making stage? For a lot of people, if you don't have the pricing on their website and they're even picking up the phone and asking what the price is, for a lot of them, that might just be the end of the conversation. They might be shopping around at this point and they're just trying to get an idea of how much they're going to spend, and they want to look around, they want to shop around. But if somebody is calling you after they learn the price on the website and they've done their research, they've looked at the competition, they've looked at all these different areas of, I get this service for this amount of money, by the time they call you, they may be way later in that decision-making stage. So because of that, you're going to have a better likelihood of closing that lead than if somebody was just calling, asking about the price and saying, thank you very much, I might call back later. Now, of course, ultimately the decision is yours whether or not you're going to put the pricing of your property management services on your property management website. But from a personal perspective, I do believe that putting pricing on your website is always better than not putting pricing on your website. I think about all the times that, I've been shopping for a couch, for example, and I've gone to local furniture store websites, and you see that call for available pricing underneath the couch that you like looking at. Now, for me, I'm not going to usually pick up the phone and call, because my assumption always becomes, I think that couch is probably out of my price range if I have to pick up the phone and call. So, I'm going to a different website and I'm looking at similar couches, but these websites are showing the pricing. So because of that, I can now make a decision about whether or not this is going to fit into my budget. So that same idea would transfer over to property management websites. Yes, you may get some people to pick up the phone and call you, and you may be able to have some conversations with them, which is ultimately a good thing. But you also want to ask yourself, how many other people am I losing by not having pricing on my website? Now, this can be a different story if none of your competitors have pricing on their website. If none of them have pricing, then you're not putting yourself at a disadvantage by also not having pricing on your website. But ultimately, if your competition does have the pricing on their website and you don't, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage and you're not going to get much benefit out of it. So ultimately, it is your decision, but putting pricing on your website is always a good idea. Hopefully we gave you some good food for thought in today's video. Now, if you would like to have more conversations about how you can help your property management company grow, feel free to visit our website and sign up for a growth marketing session at upkeepmedia.com/growth. Hopefully you got some good information out of today's video, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. See you later.